You've probably walked past a fruit tree at a nursery and thought, cool, but I live in an apartment. I thought the same thing for years, until I found out that half the fruit trees people plant in the ground would actually do better in a pot. Smaller roots, easier winters, way less mess, and honestly, way more control over the exact soil and sun they get. A tree in the ground has to deal with whatever soil you happen to have, whatever drainage your yard happens to offer, and whatever the weather decides to throw at it. A tree in a container gets exactly what you give it, and that's a much easier game to win, even if you've never grown anything before. Today I'm walking you through 15 dwarf fruit trees that are basically built for container life, counting down from solid starter picks to the one I'd grab first if I only had room for a single tree. Along the way, I'll cover the exact pot size, the soil mix, the watering rhythm, and roughly how long you're waiting before your first harvest. So by the end of this, you'll know exactly which tree fits your patio, your climate, and your patience level. Stick around, because a few of these are going to surprise you. Let's get into it. Starting at number 15, the Dwarf Improved Meyer Lemon. This is the tree I'd honestly recommend to anyone who's never grown fruit before. It stays under 5 feet, and it's forgiving if you're still learning to read a plant's watering needs. Grab a 10-gallon pot with real drainage holes, not just slits, actual holes. Fill it with a citrus-specific mix, because regular potting soil holds too much water and citrus roots hate sitting wet. Always buy a grafted tree from a nursery, since seed-grown citrus can take a decade to fruit, if it ever does at all. Give it full sun, at least 6 hours a day. Let the top 2 inches of soil dry out before you water again, and feed it every 6 weeks with a citrus fertilizer that's heavy on nitrogen and iron. You'll get flushes of fruit through fall and winter, and you'll know it's ready when the skin turns a deep egg yolk yellow and gives slightly under your thumb. Here's a quick fact for you. Meyer lemons aren't a true lemon at all. They're a natural cross between a lemon and a mandarin orange, which is exactly why they taste sweeter and less sharp than the lemons you'd find at the grocery store. Moving to number 14, the Dwarf Bonanza Peach. This one's a genetic dwarf, meaning it stays small because of its own DNA, not because someone grafted it onto a stunted rootstock. That matters because genetic dwarfs tend to be sturdier in wind. Go with a heavy 15-gallon pot, ideally plastic or resin rather than thin fabric, since a fruit-loaded branch can get top-heavy fast. Well-draining loam mixed with compost works fine here. Plant it bare root in late winter while it's still dormant. Peaches need a real winter chill to set fruit properly. So if you're somewhere that barely dips below 50 degrees, this isn't your tree. Skip ahead to a tropical pick later on. Otherwise, water deeply whenever the soil dries out an inch down, and feed once in early spring only. Harvest lands in midsummer, when the fruit gives gently to a squeeze and smells sweet right at the stem. Here's a fun one. Peaches and nectarines are technically the same species. The only difference is a single gene controlling that fuzzy skin. Remove it, and botanically speaking, you've got a nectarine. At number 13, the Dwarf Key Lime. This is the toughest tree on the entire list, hands down. It'll survive watering mistakes that would kill almost anything else here. A 7-gallon pot is plenty since the root system stays fairly compact. Sandy, fast-draining soil is non-negotiable. This tree despises soggy roots more than almost any other citrus. Give it full, blazing sun, and let it dry out fully between waterings rather than keeping it consistently moist. Fair warning, the branches carry small thorns, so handle it with a bit of care when you're moving the pot around your patio. You'll get small, intensely tart limes almost year-round once it's established, usually starting around year 2. Here's a fascinating fact. Key limes are actually higher in natural sugar than regular Persian limes. That intense tartness you taste is balanced by more sugar underneath, which is part of why key lime pie doesn't need much added sweetener to work. Number 12 is the Dwarf Honeycrisp Apple, specifically a columnar type. If your patio is narrow instead of wide, this one's for you. Columnar apples grow like a single skinny pole covered in fruit spurs instead of spreading branches. Some varieties stay under 2 feet wide, even at full height. Use a 12-gallon pot for stability, since it's a tall, top-loaded shape that can catch wind. Standard well-draining potting mix is fine here, nothing exotic needed. One important catch, most apples need a second variety nearby for cross-pollination, so double-check the tag before you buy, or pick a self-fertile variety if you only have room for one tree. Feed lightly in early spring, water consistently through summer, and expect fruit by year 3, ripening in early fall when the apples pull away from the branch with a gentle twist. Here's a fact worth knowing. A single columnar apple tree can keep producing fruit for over 20 years in the same container, as long as you refresh the top few inches of soil each year. Coming in at number 11 is the dwarf Barbados cherry, also called acerola. This one flies under the radar, but it might be the most nutritionally loaded plant on the whole list. It's a small, shrubby tree that pumps out tiny red fruit almost continuously in warm weather. A 7-gallon pot works well since the roots stay shallow. Use a rich, well-draining mix, planted in full sun, and water on a steady schedule. Inconsistent watering is really the only thing that trips this plant up. Feed monthly through the growing season. You'll see your first fruit within a year of planting a nursery starter, and it'll keep flowering and fruiting in waves as long as the weather stays warm. Here's the fact that surprises people. A single Barbados cherry contains up to 30 times more vitamin C, gram for gram, than an orange. It's been studied as a natural vitamin C concentrate for exactly that reason. Before we hit the halfway point, quick pause. Which of these 5 would you actually plant first? The lemon, the peach, the lime, the apple, or the cherry? Everyone tends to gravitate toward a different one depending on their climate and how much patience they've got. And honestly, there's no wrong answer here. They're all solid choices for a first container tree. If this is useful so far, that's genuinely all the encouragement I need to keep making more of these. Okay, back to the list. The back half is where it really gets good, because this is where we start getting into the trees that most people have never even considered growing at home. Number 10 is the dwarf fig, specifically the petite negri variety. Figs actually fruit better when their roots are a little cramped, which makes them one of the most naturally suited trees on this whole list for container life. A 7-gallon terracotta pot is ideal. Terracotta breathes, and figs appreciate that. Use a coarse, sandy mix that drains fast. Propagate from a cutting if you can find one, or just buy a small starter plant. Full sun, and let the soil dry out noticeably between waterings. Overwatering is the number one way people kill container figs, and it causes the fruit to split before it ripens. You'll get fruit the same year you planted if you start with an established nursery tree, ripening from midsummer into fall, depending on your climate. Here's a fun fact. What looks like the fig's flower is actually inverted and grows entirely inside the fruit itself. Figs are technically flowers turned inside out. At number 9, the dwarf pomegranate, the Nana variety. This is the tree I'd recommend to anyone who wants something that looks incredible on a patio, not just something productive. It stays under 3 feet and produces brilliant orange-red flowers all summer before setting fruit. A 5-gallon unglazed terracotta pot is perfect, since this tree actually prefers being a little root-bound and dry. Use a gritty, fast-draining mix. Think cactus soil with a bit of compost mixed in. Full sun is essential. This tree gets leggy and stops flowering in shade. Let it dry out fully between waterings. Feed lightly once in spring, and harvest in early fall once the fruit sounds slightly hollow when you tap it. Here's a fact for you. Pomegranates have been cultivated for over 4,000 years and even appear in Egyptian tomb paintings. It's one of the oldest fruit crops humans have deliberately grown. Number 8 is the dwarf Persian mulberry. Most people skip mulberries because the full-size trees get enormous, but the dwarf Persian variety stays under 6 feet and is one of the fastest fruiting trees you can put in a container. A 10-gallon fabric grow bag works well here, since the breathable fabric naturally keeps the roots in check and helps the tree stay compact. Rich, loamy soil with plenty of compost is ideal. Start from a young nursery plant rather than seed for reliable fruiting. Water deeply every couple of days through summer, and feed monthly with a balanced organic fertilizer. What makes this tree special is the timeline. You can realistically see fruit in your very first year, with berries ripening in waves rather than all at once, so you're picking for weeks instead of days. Here's a fact worth knowing. Mulberry leaves are the exclusive food source for silkworms, meaning the entire silk industry depends on a single tree genus that most backyard growers have never even tasted fruit from. At number 7, the dwarf Washington navel orange. If you only ever grow one citrus tree in your life, a lot of growers would tell you to make it this one. Dwarf navel oranges are seedless, consistently sweet, and about as low drama as citrus gets. A 15-gallon pot gives the root system enough room to support a heavier fruit load. Use the same fast-draining citrus mix as the lemon and lime from earlier. Full sun, water when the top 2 inches dry out, and feed every 6 weeks during the growing season. Navel oranges ripen in winter, which is honestly one of the best parts. Fresh fruit right when the rest of your garden has gone dormant. You'll know they're ready when the color is fully orange and the fruit feels heavy for its size. Here's a fact for you. Every navel orange tree on the planet is a genetic clone traced back to a single mutated tree discovered in Brazil in the 1800s, meaning the orange in your kitchen is a direct clone of that original tree. Number 6 is the dwarf Anna apple. This one solves a real problem. Most apples need a hard winter to fruit, which shuts a lot of warm climate growers out entirely. The Anna apple was specifically bred for low chill conditions, so even mild winter regions can grow a legitimate apple harvest in a pot. A 15-gallon container gives the roots room to establish, filled with a standard well-draining potting mix amended with compost. You'll want a second pollinator variety nearby, since Anna apples aren't reliably self-fertile. Water consistently through the growing season. Feed lightly in early spring, and expect your first real harvest by year 2 or 3, with fruit ripening early, often by midsummer rather than fall like most apples. Here's a fact worth knowing. The Anna apple variety was originally developed in Israel specifically to bring apple production to desert climates, which is exactly why it skips the deep winter chill that most apples demand. At number 5, the dwarf black mission fig. A second fig makes this list because black mission is simply a different growing experience. In the right climate, it can give you 2 separate harvests in a single year, an early one and a larger main crop later in summer. A 10-gallon pot suits it well, slightly larger than the Petite Negri since this variety grows a bit more vigorously. The same fast-draining, sandy soil applies here. Full sun, and again, let it dry between waterings rather than keeping it constantly moist. Feed lightly in spring only. Too much fertilizer pushes leafy growth at the expense of fruit. Harvest when the fruit droops downward and softens, usually leaking a small bead of sweetness at the base. Here's a fact for you. Black mission figs get their deep color from the same anthocyanin pigments found in blueberries and dark grapes, which is part of why they're often highlighted in antioxidant research. Number 4, and this one always surprises people, the dwarf Cavendish banana. It's technically not even a tree, but nothing else on this list gives you a bigger, more dramatic harvest from a single container. The dwarf Cavendish stays around 6 feet, compared to the 20-foot version you'd see in a commercial field. You'll want a heavy 15-gallon pot, since the plant develops a large underground stem and broad leaves that catch wind easily. Rich, slightly acidic soil with plenty of compost, daily watering through summer, and a potassium-heavy feed every couple of weeks. It's a 12 to 15-month wait from planting to harvest. But once that stalk of bananas ripens, you're looking at dozens of fruit off a single plant, genuinely one of the highest yield options here per square foot of patio. Here's a fact to sit with. Because bananas are naturally high in potassium, they're technically mildly radioactive, enough that shipping containers full of them have occasionally triggered radiation sensors at ports. Completely harmless to eat, just a strange bit of banana trivia. Let's close out the top 3 a little quicker, since by now you've got the pattern down. Number 3 is the dwarf gala apple, same columnar logic as the Honeycrisp from earlier, but with a shorter chill requirement, so it fits slightly warmer climates than most apples can handle. Number 2 is the dwarf kaffir lime, grown less for eating the fruit and more for the intensely fragrant leaves, which are a staple in Southeast Asian cooking. It lives happily in the same fast-draining citrus mix as every other citrus on this list. And taking the number 1 spot, the dwarf improved beer slime. A heavy, reliable producer that fruits nearly year-round in the right climate, needs the same sandy, well-draining soil as its citrus cousins, and rewards you with juice that's noticeably more aromatic than anything you'll find at a grocery store. If a citrus tree has ever made you want to grow your own, this is the one that actually delivers on that feeling, harvest after harvest, with very little fuss once it's established. And that's the full list. 15 trees that prove you don't need a backyard to grow real fruit. Just the right container, the right soil, and a little patience while they establish. If I had to pick just one to start with, I'd probably go with the Meyer lemon from the top of this list. Hard to kill and genuinely useful in the kitchen, and honestly a great confidence builder if you've never grown a fruit tree before. But whichever one you choose, the real takeaway here is simple. Match the pot to the roots, match the soil to the species, give it real sun, and be consistent with water. Do those 4 things, and almost anything on this list will reward you, usually a lot faster than you'd expect. If you're just getting started, don't feel like you need to run out and buy 5 trees at once. Pick one that matches your climate and your patience level, get comfortable with its rhythm for a season, and expand from there. That's exactly how most container orchards end up growing, 1 tree at a time, until suddenly your patio looks like the one in the intro. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments which tree you're starting with and what climate zone you're growing in, and I'll see you in the next one.